Why are British place names so hard to pronounce?
What are you talking about, bruv? Manchester.
Hello, I'm from London.
Yeah.
All right, we're done with British accents from now on.
Yeah, no more. Sorry, we will not offend you guys anymore. I'm
It's
sure you
hard.
guys can do your best American accent in the comments.
It's hard to
And we'll read
refrain. British accent sounds cool.
It does sound cool. Like people just, that's like a thing people do. They just randomly bust one out.
And it's always like the super stereotypical, like proper British accent. It's never like a London accent, a South London, whatever
Or
their
a
accent is.
Scouse accent or something.
Or some Scottish gets whipped out sometimes.
Yeah,
You
sometimes.
never know.
But that might turn into like
Irish usually.
Yeah.
Those usually go back and forth. But let's jump into it. Here we go.
Can be tricky to pronounce.
Take this
Grimsey.
place. Looks simple. But what if we told you it was pronounced Grimis?
I wouldn't believe you.
We'd be lying. It's Grimsby.
But other places
okay,
can be
thank you.
genuinely fiddly for foreigners.
And tourists who get it wrong risk being imprisoned or killed.
In today's programme, we're going to ask why British place names are so hard to pronounce.
Is there an and coming?
No, I'm done.
Welcome to Map Men.
We're the men.
And here's the map.
I'm hoping this is just dry British humor and we're not actually going to get killed if we mispronounce
Nope.
something in the UK.
There are difficult to
Nothing
pronounce
is
place
ever
names all
sarcastic
over the
or
world.
bad.
California has Zizix, Slovenia has Ptuj, Greenland has...
Kekker Tarsuit shot.
Even Welsh natives struggle with this one.
And tonight we can expect to see heavy showers spreading
Yes.
from the west into Wales.
But deliberately hard to pronounce names invented for promotional purposes like Llanfair, Pwllgwyn, Gwrgogera, Drobl, Llantysilio, Gogogoch aside,
Show off.
British place names cause more trouble than most because they often look straightforward but contain nonsensical phonetic traps that are impossible to predict.
Okay.
Try this one.
English.
Go on,
From.
say it out loud in your room or on your train.
Frome.
Ha 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 ha. Wrong, it's not Frome.
Frome, it should be blitheringly obvious, is pronounced Froome.
But if you did say Frome, don't worry, you're in good company. Frome is officially the most mispronounced place name in Britain, and that's according to a proper survey.
Excuse me, could you mispronounce Froome for me?
Portsmouth.
That'll do.
There's nothing
Nice.
more fun than laughing at tourists who don't know how to say something properly simply because they're from a different country and could never reasonably be expected to have predicted a local pronunciation that contradicts the basic rules of language.
So we've created the perfect
That's our whole
travel
channel.
agent's
That's
itinerary.
literally our channel. If you watch our travel vlogs, we go there, read it how we'd read it in American English, and then everyone's like, "You said that wrong! Why didn't you know? Why didn't you know?"
You should change your accent mid-sentence when you say the word.
At least these guys get it.
Maximising tourist humiliation across the country.
Starting in Biaulio,
I'm not even gonna try.
head over to Rampisham,
Ransom.
then down to Mousehole.
Mousel.
Next, travel north up to Towcester,
Toaster.
then a quick jaunt to
Toaster.
Gotham,
Gotham.
followed by a stop in Quernmore,
Quorma.
before finishing up in Alnwick.
Alnwick, which is near Newcastle.
Or, as the people from the city itself say, Newcastle.
When will they learn?
As you can hear, no letter of the English alphabet is safe from being pronounced any of dozens of different ways.
Including not at all.
Thankfully, there are some general rules you can stick to, and because we're nice, we'll help the un-British amongst you through a couple of basics.
Cester is pronounced stir.
Leicester, Worcester, Gloucester.
W at the start of the final syllable is silent.
Norwich, Berwick, Southwark.
ER is pronounced R.
Berkshire, Clerkenwell, Hertfordshire.
But before you get too reassured, for every rule in the English language there are always exceptions, such as the cester in,
Cirencester.
the W in,
Sandwich.
and the sound in,
Oh, this is disgusting. Oh, sorry, Berkhamsted.
which is in Hertfordshire.
The only way to be
Are
absolutely
you getting
sure
all
of
this?
pronouncing British place names correctly is to live here long enough to learn every single one of them one at a time. Sorry.
So who were the complete anchors that invented these rules?
It's time for an English lesson.
To make an English language, you start with the base of Germanic Anglo-Saxon. Mix in a healthy dash of Old Norse, a huge dollop of Norman French, and just a barely detectable hint of Celtic. Trust me, it'll make all the difference. Stir it up for hundreds of years until the vowels really start to shift, and then...
English. Excitingly, by looking at a map of Britain today, we can clearly see which invaders influenced our language where by plotting the origins of British place names. This marvellous, messy, multicoloured map shows which languages different British place names belong to and is a living history of our early settlers and subsequent invaders.
The oldest place names here are of Celtic origin. This is where you'll find all the place names with words like Tre, Loch, Bryn and Aber,
Such as Aberystwyth, meaning the mouth, Aber, of the River Istwyth.
which coincidentally is exactly where we find Aberystwyth today.
Celtic languages were once spoken all across the British Isles, but are now reduced to a small minority of mountain dwellers. And that's because low-lying Middle England Brits turned out to be more worse at resisting invading armies.
First up were the Romans, who brought in Britain's Latin influences.
Like the rumba.
No, like boring Latin. Anywhere that ends in castor, cester, chester, or xeter was a Roman fort, from the Latin word castra, meaning Roman fort.
But the Romans didn't stay long, so although their naming system was long-lasting, the actual names they used weren't, which is perhaps unsurprising when we learn they used names like Castra Exploratorum and Belgic Oppidum,
which was sensibly renamed Braintree.
Next, in light pink, we have the biggest group, Germanic Anglo-Saxon.
Any place containing the words Ham, Hurst, Lee, Bury, Ford, Port, Mere, Stead, Tunstall, Wick, Witch, or Mere are of good old Anglo-Saxon origin and massively dominate southern England.
Like Buckingham.
Or a low-lying area of land belonging to an Anglo-Saxon called Bucker.
Perhaps the most upheavaling thing
claimed
to
that.
happen to Britain's place names was the Vikings, who swept in from Scandinavia in the 9th century, committing brutal crimes including rape, pillage, and the renaming of small to medium-sized settlements.
You can tell a place was named by the Vikings if it ends in Thwaite, Thorpe, Kirk, or B.
Such as our old friend Grimsby. Named after an important Viking called Grim, famed for his infectious positive energy, Grimsby literally means Grim's village.
Really?
Oh, nice.
We're all
Simple.
familiar with these common settlement suffixes, but what's so striking is how clearly this map of Viking place names reflects the extent of the Viking invasions. You can practically see the exact location of the Danelaw dividing Viking and Anglo-Saxon England without needing to draw it on with thick red pen.
Following all these invasions, Britain was littered with place names that originated in different languages and accents, but the final thing that would make its place names truly unpronounceable was time.
Over hundreds of years, locals who were too busy to pronounce all the syllables in Cester reduced it to stir to save time. But they couldn't read or write, so the spelling stayed the
Just
same.
gets shorter and
While the
shorter.
English language has continued to gradually evolve,
That's
our
when
place
AI
names
takes
haven't,
over.
resulting in a language landscape littered with phonetic booby traps.
But what about Froome? Which linguistic group is responsible for Britain's so-called hardest place name?
And usually for a place name in England, Froome is from a surviving Celtic word, frama, which means fair, fine or brisk, probably describing the flow of its lovely river.
It's not really surprising that the oldest language in these islands is the one that's drifted the furthest from pronounceability.
So don't forget to join us for the next episode of Map Men.
Wow.
Is that the end of your sentence?
Yeah, I'm done.
Golly darn tootin' gee whiz, hot diggity woo! What are you
Is that us?
I'm
Yeah,
putting on
that's
an
us.
American accent to fool my computer into thinking I'm in America. Yippee-ki-yay!
Oh, it's a NordVPN ad. We got a NordVPN ad here at the end. I don't know what else we can say other than we're going to butcher every city pronunciation possible when we eventually come to the UK.
And a lot of people will be upset by it, and I'm very I'm curious to see how to the extent people will.
I mean, we're American. What do you expect? We have Plymouth here and, you know, New York. Do you guys say Plymouth? Do you say that the same as us? Or do you say like a different way somehow?
And like some of the places that have came over to the U.S. are pronounced different. Like we have a city in our state called New Prague.
But it's Prague, spelled Prague,
Yeah.
like Czech Republic. So things get funky all over the place. English is a fluid language and nothing will ever make sense.
There's a lot of dang accents in the U.K. too for that area. So
It goes across like cities. Like people from different parts of London have different accents. That's crazy.
yeah, so I'm sure that also affects just crazy like how you would pronounce certain cities as well.
It's so interesting that like the Nordics have so many names on that coast and how deep some of them went in, like on this map. You wouldn't expect the Nordics to have cities way in the middle
They
right
got
here.
some cities in Wales.
They just were like boop, 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 as they were pillaging and raping and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Dang
And
Vikings.
then claiming their own. Dang Grim got his own city.
Grimsby. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hopefully you enjoyed. We'll see you in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.